I started this before by beating around the bush quite a bit and realized I should just get right to the point, right to the bombshell, because it will frustrate some people and they will vehemently disagree. But Silent Hill 2's remake, whether you like it or not, I truly believe is missing one huge thing, and that is DLC. Now, I already know there's some people who are like, what the hell? What are you talking about? You're like a big media preservationist. You like it when everything's on the disc. You don't want, all these things where you have to go online and download this or that, and, you want complete games. How can you have that opinion? Well, here's the thing. The original Silent Hill 2 did some things that Silent Hill's remake did not do at all. Now, I don't mean did them better. I'm not saying like, oh, well, the camera angles, this is better. That's not even what we're talking about today. There are strengths and weaknesses, I think, to both versions of this game. And the original is a timeless masterpiece. It will stay that way. But the original also did something very good, at least in its later releases, especially things like its greatest hits release on the PS2, and that was expanding on some of these characters, especially Maria, with the Born from a Wish DLC. Now, this is before the online plague of DLC, where everything was a costume pack, or everything was a loot box, or everything was a games as a service. Now, there is a place for those things. I'm not saying that Silent Hill 2's remake should become that. But I truly do believe there are a couple things that this game would benefit from even adding in now, and I wanted to take a look at those today. So if you enjoy this video, you want to leave a like, subscribe, let me know what you're thinking down below. The YouTube algorithm changed quite a bit recently, so variety channels have been hit pretty hard by that. I appreciate those of you watching. You want to share it with a friend, tell someone, we love you very much. Also, I have a question of the day for you, which is, do you think that there is something that could be added into Silent Hill 2's remake that would make the game even better? Genuine question. I want to know. Let me know. I do read those things. And also, finally, I did want to throw out here really quick, there will be some information about an event that we're going to be attending at the end of this video. And also, I did make a horror list on Amazon. We make a commission off of these things. If you decide to purchase anything, it does go to help support the channel. For people who like things like Silent Hill, I tried to be pretty picky with it, but also have some fun. So that will be in the description and top comment down below. Silent Hill, the original is a masterpiece. I mean, really, the entire original trilogy, and I'd even add 4 in there, there's not much I'd change with any of those games. That said, one thing that I noticed from Silent Hill 2's remake from Bloober, despite how outstanding I found it, I mean, it was one of my games of the year of last year, is that Born from a Wish was excluded. It's something that I thought was disappointing. However, there is still the possibility that when it comes to Xbox, that this will get some kind of re-release on PlayStation, mirroring the situation from years ago, where the Restless Dreams edition on Xbox, despite being very inferior, it was not a very good port on the original Xbox, playable but inferior, it launched with this Born from a Wish, and so did the greatest hits version of the game on PlayStation 2. Now, greatest hits, obviously, if you just started gaming, it was basically this thing where you sold X amount of copies, you count as a greatest hits, we reprint your game, we slap a logo on the front of it, and you're good to go. Normally, it wouldn't be that different. Some of the greatest hits did have an update, like a patch or something like that, that fixed a glaring problem with the game. But that said, Silent Hill 2's was different in the sense that it was the rare case where there was actually more content on the greatest hits version of the game than on the original PlayStation 2 version of the game. Usually, a lot of times I would say, collectors of physical games nowadays, they don't really go for greatest hits as much. When you have these arbitrary labels thrown on there, it eats up room on the box, it takes away a little bit of the art. A lot of people didn't go for those. But with Silent Hill 2, there was now an extra small story mode, much smaller than the original, focusing on Maria, taking place directly before the events of the Silent Hill 2 game's story. Now, at first glance, you might look at that and you might think, that's not that interesting, that's not that necessary, why are they doing that? But the thing with Maria is, I guess this is a little bit of a spoiler, so if you haven't played the game, this is important to the story. I'm giving you time to click away right now. Maria is a character that was, as stated, born from a wish. And her existence is interesting. It actually lines up with the lore of Silent Hill, but it also incorporates a lot of different elements of spirituality. Like, for example, you could compare it to something like a tulpa, like a creature brought to life by the wish of a consciousness. And this creature, this person, though, is very fascinating. And one of the reasons Maria is fascinating, and it's something I think they did a very good job focusing on in the remake, is her behavior is driven by and yanked around by the town, but she also has a will of her own in many ways. And I think that that will of her own, it shines through very, very well in Born from a Wish. It's actually something you see referenced very briefly when she has deja vu in the game, even in the remake. And so it's one of those things where it is still hinted at. Now, that said, without Born from a Wish, the game is still great, but it doesn't really get into Maria as much as it could as a supporting character. And I think Born from a Wish actually adds to the tragedy that Maria finds herself in. I know some people very cynically view this character as almost an automaton, as a character who does not have will, who just reacts according to the town. However, I would argue that the town yanks her in specific directions and to behave in specific ways, depending on what's going on with James at a given time, not at all times. And I think that that's why she's so interesting, is she's this character who's pulled back and forth between the reality, honestly, the reality being given form by James and by the town, and also someone who has, I believe, a will of her own at the same time that's kind of at war with those things. Born from a Wish does a great job of expanding on that. Not only would it be extra content, but it would also be something that adds to that characterization of these characters, and I'd be interested to see if it was in some way expanded in this game, because this game did expand elements of the original story. Now, I know some people didn't agree with the way it did that. I thought it was really cool. That said, there is room for other stuff here too that I actually think would help improve the game. I wouldn't personally release this as like different packs or things like that. I know that, you know, Konami or any big company, that is a huge draw. You know, it's like, well, we could charge $10 for this, $10 for this, $20 for this. I get it from a business perspective, I understand. However, this right now is a complete game. I don't want them to add in a bunch of stuff that makes the base version incomplete. Rather, I think that if you are going to add anything to it, and it could benefit from it, something like Born from a Wish would add additional content onto the game that benefits the game, but isn't necessarily what we call required reading. It's not something you need to get the experience of the game. That said, something I noticed with this game is that subsequent playthroughs, there's not actually that much incentive to do it outside of trophies. Like, yeah, you get the chainsaw. I made a video on that probably a couple months ago. I love the chainsaw, super fun. There's no cosmetics really. There's no actual things that you get like, oh, you can put on this mask or you can switch to this jacket or anything like that. Now, I understand that for James, a character who doesn't care that much about himself, especially in this game, who's very self-destructive, you might think, well, these things don't really matter. But something I think Silent Hill 3 added that did it added really good incentive to replayability was some cosmetics for Heather. Now, do they fit Heather more as a character because she's a girl, 17 and some change approaching adulthood? Yeah. But that said, from a game design perspective, I still think if you were adding Born from a Wish, it would be great to see a couple of things brought in for James, for people who want to play through the game on second or third playthrough, whatever. Someone who wants something to unlock or something to do, I think it would actually benefit the game. And we have seen it in other games where characters wouldn't necessarily care about changing clothes, like The Last of Us. I also think that with those pre-order masks, the gag masks that were kind of stupid, it's time to unlock those for everybody. The game has been out for quite a while. If you are doing something like Born from a Wish, you throw those in there as well with a couple cosmetics, you've made me happy. My last thing that I do think this game is missing, which is the least of the concerns, is like a couple of the kind of gag weapon type things, like the hyper spray. That wasn't even in this game. It was something that they didn't do. I'm sure it was something about time or whatever, But when you do have these elements that the original had and the remake doesn't, or even things like the Great Knife where you can't actually use it as a weapon, I think that for subsequent playthroughs at least, adding these things, Born from a Wish, couple cosmetics, couple weapons, those things would go a long way to give some more life to Silent Hill 2's remake. As is, I love the game, but I truly do believe it would benefit from some of these things. Now that said, I'm interested to hear your thoughts down below, what you think about it. You know, there are a lot of ways to support this channel. Hey, here's another thing Silent Hill could do. Throw James Sunderland in Fortnite. Maybe give him a pillow for his weapon or a back bling, perhaps. A little dark, a little gruesome, but funny nonetheless. You know, maybe you have Pyramid Head running around in there. Fortnite code DJAY123. You want to support this channel? That's a great way to, by the way. I did also want to say that I created an Amazon affiliate list focused on horror. I already talked about that a little bit, and any purchase from that you follow my link and make does actually go to help support the channel. Also, we do have our own store, cosmobunny.shop. We make coasters, keychains, trays, and more out of recycled paper from comics, manga, magazines, all this different stuff, right? You might think, well, wow, that's a waste of paper. It is actually not. We are taking things that are damaged, unable to be sold. We save some of that, I would say paper from it, and we actually take it and turn it into a new form of art. We transform it through a new medium into new art for your home. Also, we're going to be at a couple of shows this year. I'm going to put the dates and the information right here on the screen. So you want to meet up with us or, you know, hang out, talk for a little bit. We're going to be in Eau Claire, Wisconsin a couple different times. We'll have to see if we do anything else, but I'd love to see you there. Please support the channel. It means the world to me. Have a fantastic day. And as always, everyone, stay shui.